I'm an actress portraying Constance, Elizabeth's mother. All others in these videos portray themselves. Elizabeth doesn't want to see her birth mother in these videos, talking about all of her cruel beliefs, her plots and schemes, many of which targeted Elizabeth and her loved ones, even friends and acquaintances of hers. That would be way too traumatic for her. So I portray the self-appointed queen in this real-life fairy tale, to spare others from the trauma of actually seeing their abuser again. Hearing me describe what she did and said is bad enough. So here goes. When it comes to child rearing, I've always believed in tough love. That's a punitive form of child care, in which punishment is primarily used to regulate children's behavior. Preferentially, rewards are only given once children conform again. Children are always yearning for their mother's acceptance and affirmation, but that's only ever given after they're 100% compliant again, even then, sparingly. Physical displays of affection are not allowed. There's no hugs, no sitting on daddy's lap, or mine, no kisses, no smiles or anything that displays warmth. Those can all be misconstrued as signs of weakness, which children all too readily exploit to manipulate and control their parents. That's not happening, not now, not ever. They'll never see me cry. On the few occasions I've felt sorry for myself and cried, I did so in the shower. I'd always told Elizabeth to do the same. Tears are a sign of weakness that adversaries pick up on and exploit. Some think all of this is cruel, but tough love is remarkably effective. How else will children learn never to disobey their parents? My younger daughter learned that lesson the hard way. When she was a young girl, she was more defiant than Elizabeth, who, back then, was 100% obedient. To break her spirit, I arranged to have her stay in an orphanage for a week, telling her that if she didn't behave, she'd stay there. As we drove off, I didn't look back, but Elizabeth, not knowing what really was happening, turned to wave to her little sister, as she stood there, restrained by the matron, crying, rejected, bewildered. That broke her spirit. She'd be a little child for life. Ever since she's lived near me and is totally obedient. She's never challenged my authority over her, ever again. I've kept her isolated, distrusting of anyone that knows enough to help her escape, especially, later, her sister Elizabeth, the chosen one, my golden girl, who dared to run away from me. Her younger sister, my scapegoat daughter, died at 62 after a 10-year fight with breast cancer. I'm 92 and I've never had cancer. She'd failed me, so I didn't visit her in the hospice, or go to her memorial service. 24 years prior, as she lay at the brink of death in hospital after a suicide attempt, I'd stayed away too. I don't reward failure. Elizabeth flew to Toronto to be with her.
Hello, I'm Ian, Nicholas in our son's novels, Jennifer's husband. I'm 67 now in 2023, she's soon turning 67. If you've ever been the victim of a malignant narcissist, you know how bad that feels. But it's possible to defeat that awful spirit bent on destroying the lives of all of its victims. Here's a short story of just one such pivotal defeat of the narcissist in our lives, my wife's mother. Jennifer was her mother's designated golden girl, at least until she'd said no to her, back when she was in her early 20s. This is her at age 2 and 66. After that her mother mounted a long-running, relentless campaign to destroy Jennifer and her life. Why? Jennifer found fault with her mother who thought of herself as perfect in every way, so that had to be reversed, at any cost, to Jennifer and her family, of course. I mean Jennifer was her chosen avatar, and if she found fault with mother, that was a big blow to mother's ego and self-image. She needed her to be fully compliant, once again hero-worshipping mother, or she'd be destroyed. Here's just one of the many ways she set about to destroy Jennifer. Her sister Linda, the one in red, was mother's designated scapegoat, the black sheep of the family. She's shown here in the grips of depression after being forced to abort her first child by mother, who'd said, "We'll have no bastards in my family." She gave Linda an ultimatum. Get rid of that bastard child, or else never contact me or Dad ever again. In Canada it's legal to murder babies as they're being born, or at any time prior. Linda's was a late-term abortion. She'd made the mistake of looking at her son as he was removed from her womb. Her little boy was due to be born around the same time as our youngest son, shown here on the day of his christening. Linda was forced by mother to attend, to teach her a lesson. The golden girl got to keep her baby boy, the black sheep had agreed to mother's demand to kill hers. Years went by, and she fell pregnant again, also out of wedlock, but this time we told her to not tell mother. As you can see, much to mother's dismay, her son Byron was born. He was to be her only child. Mother again categorized him as a bastard, rejecting him, and shunning Linda as an outcast. That set the stage for Linda's first serious suicide attempt, which very nearly succeeded. The RCMP called our home on the outskirts of Calgary one Friday evening in early 1997, to tell Jennifer that her sister was in a coma in a Toronto hospital, at the opposite end of the country, not expected to live. Jennifer inquired as to whether they'd informed mother and father in Kelowna, British Columbia. They confirmed they had. However, the RCMP constable was told by mother that she had no interest in rushing to her dying daughter's bedside, that, what will be, will be. The RCMP were shocked and disgusted, telling Jennifer that she was her sister's last, best hope. Jennifer was devastated. She'd always known her mother was cruel, but this was a whole new level of cruel, which was impossible to deny or excuse. Basically mother had no use for a dead avatar. Linda, depicted here as the avatar on the right, expected to die, was no longer of any use to her. Jenny, depicted on the left, was alive and could possibly, in time, be coerced to return to mother, alone, back under mother's control again. I called my boss, organizing for a week off to care for our sons, booked Jen on a flight that same night to Toronto, finding her a hotel near the hospital in which Linda lay in a coma. Jen hurriedly packed, then we took her to Calgary's airport, and once there, we all said our goodbyes, wishing her Godspeed on her mission of mercy. Once she'd arrived at her hotel, she immediately went to her sister's bedside. Jen contacted all relatives to tell them what had happened and to pray along with us for Linda's survival, for her to awaken from the coma. Naturally they'd asked where her parents were. Jen told them mother had no interest in Linda's life or death. Linda miraculously came out of her coma, and in the ensuing week Jen lovingly led her to the Lord. That all left mother in a huge quandary. All the relatives now thought of her as really mean and cruel. She'd so carefully crafted her perfect, admirable persona with everyone through the years, so how would she be able to recover the moral high ground? Months later, my dad, a medical doctor, contacted us to tell us that he'd received a letter from Jennifer's dad, obviously crafted and dictated by her mother. It stated that Jenny was under psychiatric care, crazy, not to be believed about anything she'd claimed or said. Of course my dad knew that was a lie. He knew Jenny was perfectly sane and not under the care of any psychiatrist, but he also warned us that it was a photocopied letter, with his name written in the blank space at the top, thus likely many others had received the same letter. They had, everyone in Jenny's life, family, friends, even acquaintances. Everyone knew Jenny and her dad got on best of all in the family. Mother's letter was legitimized by her pretending Jen's dad was the author. This letter also claimed that Jenny and I had lost Linda custody of her son, the message being Jenny was not only crazy, but downright evil too. Jenny was traumatized, to say the least. I advised her to wait, not to respond to mother's damning accusations, yet. Then I waited for the perfect moment. Linda had run away back to Toronto to fight for custody of her son, and we'd financed her trip and legal bills. In that time away from mother, in a phone call from me, at work, to check on her progress, she'd candidly admitted to me what had transpired in the months away from us and her son, what Mother had done. I asked that we call her from home that night, and that she relate all to Jenny as well, which she did. However, I recorded that phone call, which is legal in Canada where only one party to the conversation needs to know it's being recorded. That was Jennifer and I. God had seen Jennifer's pain and anguish, heard all her prayers imploring him for justice. At the perfect time, God answered her urgent pleas, completely. I then sent copies of the revealing recorded phone call to some select relatives, relying on their gossip to get it to the rest of them. Before that, all relatives and friends had been left thinking Jen and I were terribly evil, cruel people, that Mother was innocent, our victim. Go figure, hey. Now they all finally understood. It was game over for Mother's diabolical plot to destroy Jenny and to refurbish her badly tainted image. Our advice about attacks on you and your family by a narcissistic parent is to pray asking for justice and await God's answer. Any premature attempt at a rebuttal is usually counterproductive, and tends to add some measure of legitimacy to the narcissist's accusations that she's the victim and you're abusing her. So, keep your powder dry. You don't just want to merely say to her, check. It's much more desirable to finally be able to say, checkmate. Game over. You've lost. Jennifer and I were vindicated. Mother was left panicking, grasping at straws to regain her desired image of perfection in everyone else's eyes, whilst attempting to portray Jen and me as crazy and evil in the eyes of others. This is all crazy-making stuff, but just remember, you're not the crazy one, they are. Okay, now it's time to listen to that recorded call, an emotion-filled, truly heartbreaking phone call. Soon you'll understand how powerful and complete God's justice proved to be, albeit many months later.
When you went to Kelowna, Jenny and I both said, oh my goodness, watch, in 6 months or 5 months' time, Mom is going to try and talk you out of going back and to just try and get on with your life because it's just too much trouble.
Yeah.
They can fight for your little boy. And I want you to tell Jenny the story in your own voice that you told me today because it's almost incredulous to believe. How you had to fight for your little boy yourself.
Really? I couldn't believe that.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I still don't believe it.
Yeah.
Did Mom and Dad not want to pull out all the stops to get little Byron back?
Nope.
Oh, no. Why?
Because they don't love him.
Why?
They don't love him, Jenny, because I had him almost at a wedlock.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, you don't understand it. It's the truth.
What has happened to her?
I told Mom to her face. I said, you don't love my little boy, do you?
What has happened to Mom?
I don't know.
Why is she
your
like
little boy.
no?
She loves your little boys, but she doesn't love my little boy.
Oh, that's rubbish. She doesn't love my kids.
Yes, she does.
I feel exactly the same way as you do.
No, she loves your little boys. She does not love Byron. She wasn't there. She wanted me to stay in Kelowna and basically give up all rights. And she said, oh, you'll be patient.
How can she do that?
Uh-huh. I said, no, that's visitation. Not
Denying you having feelings as a mother.
yeah.
She's denying you having feelings as a person. She's denying you your life.
Yep.
How could she do that and expect something like that? She never would have done it herself.
Exactly.
How the hell could she do that?
Exactly.
I don't understand it. What happened to her?
Cold. Cold.
What happened? She wasn't always this way.
Cold. Cold. And I said, no. I said, I'm going back. She said, even when I said I was going back, she said, you can stay here. We'll look after you. I said, no, Mom, I'm going back. I'm going to get my little boy. I'm going to fight for my little boy.
Good for you. Good for you.
Because I love him. I love him unconditionally. I'll do anything for him.
Good for you.
He means more to me than anything in the whole world.